Point blank noise.
There, little puss, I kick your fucking teeth down your throat, yeah.
How you think I'm living?
Feel like I'm losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. The American terrorist, terrorizing your terrorists, verifying each shot's direct hits. No spirit, better resist the Al-Qaeda of this. Let the lyrical jihad commence. Rossi is intense. Caprice call me now the prince. Ross of Verifax, launching attacks for world dominance. Y'all should watch your back. May start an early apocalypse. For Washington on the map and a huge condom upon the monument. For all the virgin snatches, economics and politics. Long from the back like cute little foreign chicks. But watch me slap them with this suicide bomb attempt. Knocking like a settle then, replacing it with Osama bin Laden. Selling Saddam t-shirts on the White House lawn. Yelling Shasta for president out of a war. Wearing a marine dress, blue uniform. September 21st was the date I was born. Feel like I'm losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. Losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. Mama gave birth to one worse than 9/11. Sent to bring earth for curse along with a sound from heaven. Make them sing word for word. It's a song without inhaling on the plane. Turned to birth and on into the Jefferson Memorial. You never seen something this horrible on every single cover of each news editorial. Pulitzer Prize story, the public view is historical. Well, Channel 9 reporting live at 2 to inform you of this catastrophic event that can't stop or prevent from happening again. How these in office win. I never can recall seeing any of his friends, just damn good actors appearing on CNN. Feel like I'm losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. Losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. Violence of rise in these final Washington times. Stock market decline due to all these corporate crimes. So Congress decides to draw the line and pass a new bill, which is more than confident fat asses on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile in Iran, a nuclear plant's being built, and I'm comforted fam at the funeral. My man, the streets killed. Plans are being made while prayers are being said, 'cause some rather be integrated. Look at their hands and see ring. Uncle Sam freed the slaves to make slammers to keep them in. We'll ask him if we behave, does that mean that he repent? From what I see these days, it'd be hard to raise my kids to be content. I'd have to lead the states to a farm I plan to receive to feed them with. They have to be afraid of the thought of a bomb dropping, that being it. So instead of playing sane, swallow my own heart to be free of it. So let this tension level event commence. See if I care, I don't belong here anyway, but wait, hopefully it's a better place, 'cause here's nowhere safe. Don't see many of us to be spared, scared. Hell yeah they are, even though they don't show it. Better hope they don't blow it, or these voters will overthrow it. Like I'm losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. Losing my sight, losing my mind, but not losing this fight, doing my time. If it means losing my life, you are my kind. Red, blue, and white stripes on fire. Watch this.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jacob Moss. Welcome to NUSIC Live here at Listen Vision Studios. Here we go for our weekly news report. On Tuesday, 22 state attorney generals formed a kind of a coalition to sue the FCC for their decision last month, which would be putting a halt on net neutrality, which is an Obama-era law to keep all of the channels, all of the internet pathways totally equal, so everybody has the same internet access to all of the same internet sites as we all like them. Meanwhile, 50 senators, U.S. senators, have signed onto a resolution that would overturn the FCC's repeal and restore the old net neutrality rules completely. Thank you, guys. And they actually only need a few more votes. And it's very unlikely that it would get through Congress and up to the, the big man. The next story, California forest fire is, as of this week, finally totally done and contained. It was actually the largest forest fire in modern California history. So, thank everybody for pitching in. Thanks for firefighters and everybody. It ignited December 4th, and it burned a total of 281,900 acres, which is the size of like Houston and Miami combined or something. YouTube has sent out emails to all their content creators this week referring to the YouTube Partner Program, or the YPP, if you're a YouTube content creator, like we are here at Listen Vision. They changed the rules around a little bit, and it used to be you just needed 10,000 views, and your content needed to be suitable for all advertisers. Not so much anymore. We now need, as well as 10,000 views on the video, we need 4,000 hours of watch time in the past 12 months on our channel, as well as 1,000 subscribers for the channel altogether. It's stirring quite the ruckus on the internets and through YouTube, because there's so many channels out there that just have their few little things, and they get their extra $100 every year or something from their ad revenue, which is not much, but it's something, right? It actually will likely spark this new revolution of, like a negative revolution of bots and people begging for, subscribers and likes and stuff, which is already rampant on YouTube, but now it's going to be that much worse. I don't know. It'll make being a YouTube consumer even less enjoyable. But that's just my opinion. The Vancouver Aquarium has this week decided to stop holding dolphins and whales in captivity. The CEO of the aquarium, John Nightingale, said, "We absolutely believe in the values of whales and dolphins in engaging people. But you also have to be realistic, and it has gotten to the point where the debate in the community with lawyers and the politicians, it's debilitating our work on the mission, on our mission of the aquarium to have much more contact with humans and aquariotic people, fish and dolphins and whales and such. You know what I'm saying?" Into world news, I mentioned North Korea last week, and North Korea has decided to be in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. And this week they decided that they'll be marching under one flag, South Korea and North Korea. And that is a previous Olympic game. And this is what the flag itself looks like, the unified Korea. So what a great thing for diplomacy. And they will also be doing a unified women's hockey team. So South Koreans and North Koreans on one team competing against the rest of the world. So right on. Here's a crazy story. In Syria, in Mosul, an Iraqi soldier disarmed a suicide vest on a 7-year-old boy. And he recognized that the kid was terrified. He was in a group of people, and he had these bandages around him. And this Iraqi soldier went over and told him to put his arms up, and then he calmly walked over and snipped the wire and pulled the vest off of his head and then laid it over where away from the kid. So that's just, yeah, whatever side that dude's fighting for, he deserves a medal. Definitely. Steve Bannon is being subpoenaed to testify in front of a grand jury in relation to the Trump, the Russia, the mixing, that whole goodness. And that's all the information we really have on that yet, but Mueller's really hitting that hard. And clearly Bannon is not the center of attention on this. He wasn't, since he's being interviewed and he's probably going to do it. There's only so much he could say about himself, right? To incriminate himself. The Democrats in the Senate are threatening a government shutdown, which happens when the money runs out. And I was reading up a little bit more about it, and the last government shutdown that I was alive for, I wasn't in D.C. So a few of the things that happened are obviously government administration buildings get shut down and workers get the day off. Shout out to all of my government worker homies who come into the station all the time. But also national parks are closed, Smithsonian's are closed, but the U.S. Postal Service is still open, as well as Social Security checks are going out, and of course, senators will be paid. After this break, I'm going to have a call-in from the great Clifton Amadeus, and yeah, we're going to discuss a couple more topics before I get out of here. This video was before the concept of NUSIC was conceived, but it totally is, like, I didn't know what to call it yet, but it's exactly on message. So this is Talib Kweli, and he was over here at Timber Pizza Company talking about Trump, talking about cannabis, talking about, oh man, everything. He had the DC buzz I was describing last week, where artists are totally down to separate their fan base. But Talib Kweli, he doesn't care anyway. He's an activist. He's been doing a lot of great stuff around the country, and he loves DC. So here is the video of Eddie Kane and DJ Boom and I interviewing Talib Kweli.
What's up, it's Talib Kweli, and you tuned into the Eddie Kane Show on WLVS.
It's your man Eddie Kane, WLVS Radio Zone. 12-time award winner Eddie Kane. You see where I'm sitting here with the king, Talib Kweli. How you doing today, brother?
Good, what's up, Eddie? How you feeling?
Man, I can't complain.
Biggie is the symbolism of raw, unadulterated hip-hop. He's somebody who was just trying to make his way in his life. His talent was unfiltered, and it was raw and natural, and I don't think Biggie even understood how talented he was. I smoked a blunt with Biggie and Pac, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I was around. Yeah, those men ascended to the level of giants by the age of 25.
No question.
So imagine what they would be now.
What can we do as men to stand up for women's rights?
The first thing we got to do is actually listen to their voices, listen to their stories, and amplify their voices and stories, and not speak for them. The idea that you can say something as simple as Black Lives Matter,
Right.
and this pushback to that shows how successful they've been at convincing people that Black lives don't matter. No one has said only Black Lives Matter. Those are qualifiers that have been added on by people who are threatened by the very concept of Black life having value. Because if you cared about all lives, you wouldn't be mad at Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Get your own damn slogan. They can't stand up for something that don't directly represent them. White supremacists use Chicago in particular, the conservative right wing, you try to demonize the people of Chicago to push a pro-gun agenda, to push pro-police agenda, to push pro-prison agenda. Chicago, y'all know better, and y'all don't fall for it, which is why I stand with Chicago. Not that I'm a fan of patriotism, but the most patriotic thing you can do is protest.
No question.
Is hold your government accountable. And when people see the imagery, the ugliness, that's when people move. I do revolutionary music or resistance music, whether Trump exists or not. Great songwriting is great songwriting.
Right.
You don't need to have a great lyrics, or any lyrics at all, to have a great songwriting.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to pay attention to the trends, but not follow them. And I respect new forms of music, new ideas, new ways to express it. But who am I to clown or judge what I don't know?
You can't judge new hip hop, because if we all rap with how hip hop started, we'd be rapping like the Sugar Hill Gang or Eva.
Right. It's gotta evolve, it's gotta
Everything is
grow.
evolution.
And you know what? You don't have to like it. That's the part that people don't get.
Right.
It's gotta evolve, but it don't gotta evolve for you. Come to the National Cannabis Festival. I'll be performing on April 22nd in DC. To all you Trump supporters who are conservative, millennial, Republicans, I know you smoke weed. I know you smoke weed. You know you fucked up, right? They're coming for your weed, bro. The government is coming for your weed. Now, I know you don't care about Native Americans. I know you don't care about people who have vaginas. I know you don't care about Mexicans. I know you don't care about black people. You know, when the CIA is infiltrating the black community, you cheering for them. When they infiltrated Donald Trump, you mad at the CIA. I see what's going on. I know you care about your pot plants over human life. This is where we can find common ground.
Yeah.
Only on the Eddie Kane Show, WLVS Radio, listenvisionlive.com, the new radio that you can watch.
We sell crack to our own out the back of our homes. We smell the musk of the dusk and the crack of the dawn. We go through episodes too, like Attack of the Clones. What till we break a back and you hear the crack of the bone to get by, just to get by.
What's up? It's Talib Kweli, and you tuned into the Eddie Kane.
What's up, everybody? All right, let's give Clifton Amadeus a ring so we can get this discussion going.
Yeah.
Clifton, are you there? Hello, Clifton. Mr. Clifton Amadeus. Okay, well then. You can keep that channel open, it's all good. So, on Saturday, Hawaii went into this mass panic because they got this notification on their phone. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. And then 39 minutes later, they received... Never mind. So, yeah, people abandoned their cars in the middle of the highway. And people fled their houses. And a total mass panic. What do you think, Clifton? Oh, he hung up. He got scared.
City Morgue, you kill 'em, we chill 'em. This is Clifton speaking.
Hi, Clifton. Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering about all the dead bodies you got down there that are not from Hawaii.
Hawaii? Didn't they just have a massive missile crisis?
Yes, they did. So I hear.
And what happened with that?
Well, they had a massive missile crisis, supposedly from North Korea, that they just kind of assumed. And it turns out that some dude pressed the wrong button, and they had to tell them never mind.
Well, hopefully you apologize for such a massive mistake.
I would hope so.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
You know, I remember in 1983, there was a Russian missile crisis where a poor soul in Russia saw 6 or 7 missiles coming in from the States, and he called the bluff just because he would assume that if the States had launched a nuclear attack, you know, they'd be sending thousands of missiles at once. And so it only shows like it's a you know a mistake on his part, but you know, whenever it comes to these kind of things, you got to be a little bit paranoid of any further consequences. You know, there was a thing on NPR about if Trump had seen, you know, Fox News reporting that there was a missile crisis in Hawaii, and he erratically responds. I mean, it's a severe approach, but
right.
You know.
Well, what do you think the consequences of such an insane false alarm will be? I mean, the long-term results of this.
Long-term results, I think that it just shows, you know, certain flaws in the system that we have going. I think it reiterates how serious nuclear weapons are. You know, I think that that's something that we haven't really dealt with since the end of the Cold War. And so now that it's kind of revamping and people are talking about it every day in the news media, people are becoming a little bit more fearful, but also a little bit more rational with, you know, what do we have to do to prevent any kind of nuclear strike, or what are the safeguards that need to be in place? If one guy can send out a text message like that, you know, that's a pretty flawed system, or a sign of a flawed system.
Yeah, that button should probably have like a little glass casing over it, huh?
Yeah, or, you know, at least have 3 or 4 people looking at the same problem rather than just one person in charge.
Absolutely. And, of course, there's always the chance that someday there will be a ballistic missile going towards Hawaii, and they'll be like, I feel like that kid isn't really being attacked by that wolf. And they'll just not get out of their cars.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious how people respond. I think these things are, you know, regardless of if this was one mistake, people are probably going to keep taking it seriously. I think that the potential danger is, you know, big enough to keep people alert. Even if this was, you know, one mistake.
And after doing some research and also listening to some of the shows that I engineer where they were talking about this also, if there is a situation where you have to, there's a ballistic missile coming, something nuclear is going to happen, there are 2 things you need to be wary of, the heat and the... you know, what's it called?
Fire.
The fire and the dead bodies. Oh, God, this turned dark. But the sound wave. So, essentially, you want to get as low to the ground as possible, and also preferably against a wall of some sort, like a brick wall or a ditch or whatever. That way, I forget which show was talking about it, but they were giving some really good information about that.
Or hide in your bathtub with a mattress on top of you.
Maybe. Yeah. So that when there's the sound blast and you get thrown, you're only going to be thrown a few inches and you're already on the ground. So that's that good information that I heard the other day. All right. Do you have any other comments on this before we move on?
No, let's take the next topic.
All right. Stephanie Clifford, also known as Stormy Daniels, a pornography actress. Sherman's laughing in the back. She allegedly, and most probably, had an affair with Mr. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, back in 2006, 1 year after he got married to Melania. And if I'm not mistaken, she was either pregnant or just had the little baby. And Trump's lawyer, right before the election in 2016, made this young woman sign a non-disclosure agreement for $130,000. And I think under any other presidency, this might ruin that presidency.
Supposedly, I think what it was that she was paid by an LLC of sorts that is somehow affiliated with Trump's lawyer. I think that people will probably start investigating to see if there's any real connection. I think that people mostly compare this to the Clinton administration and the Clinton scandal, and I'm really curious to see. I mean, in the last 20 years, pornography has kind of skyrocketed in this country and become somewhat of a social norm in some contexts, or at least the general consensus has changed its mind to not be as against pornography as they once were in the 90s. So So I'm curious to see how people will react to it. I think when the Clinton thing happened, it might be a much bigger deal than it will be for most people with Trump.
Yeah, well, especially considering Trump's base.
Yeah, and you know, Trump's had enough controversies. I think this will just kind of add to a larger pot of more controversies. So
yeah, at this point, I think his supporters are pretty much just like, right on, man. Sick.
I mean, it is pretty sick. So
Word. And that's all I got today, folks. Tune in next week for NUSIC Live here at Listen Vision. I don't know. It's done already. Making record time on these shows. Yes. Anything else you'd like to say, Mr.
No,
Clifton?
thanks for having me. I truly enjoyed my experience on NUSIC at Listen Vision Live.
Hey,
Thanks
great
for
to
having
have
me.
you. Yeah, great to have you. All right, everybody. See you next week.
Watch this.
But there